welcome to another episode of our live stream, My Journey to the Trinity. My name is Hussein. Happy to be with you. Happy to be with me. And today we have a really very special guest and very dear brother. And let me just show you this picture right here. This picture right here is of a Coptic priest who was murdered in Egypt about 2 years ago, a little bit over 2 years ago. And of course, he was murdered for being a follower of Jesus. And so there have been some developments in the story about him. And so we have today his brother, his brother Peter, who is with us, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what has happened. And so welcome, Brother Peter. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. It's been a blessing and honor to be with you guys and with your audience.
Thank you. And, before we actually talk about the more recent development, I would like to just kind of go back and if you could just tell us a little bit about your brother and about what. Let me just a little bit about his name was Father Arsenius Wadid.
Wadid, yes.
Yes. And could you just tell us a little bit about who he was and what he used to do in Egypt?
Yes, first of all, Father Arsenius was actually my twin brother.
Twin brother, okay.
Twins, yeah. And in 1996, he was ordained as a priest, a Coptic priest, an Orthodox priest in Egypt. And it was ordained for a specific area. I don't know, let me just back up and give you a quick background about churches in Egypt generally. Ever since the revolution in 1952, there was very much a freeze on building churches, because there was churches already built when Egypt was under the English occupation. So there was a lot of churches there. The revolution came and very much they froze, no more permit for any church. So you find a church in a neighborhood which was built, maybe 30, 40, 50 years earlier, and it has probably 20 to 30,000 members because it's the only church in the area. And people come from far away to that church because the very limited number. And especially with the let's say the population grows up year after year after years, and the number of churches is still the same. The number of members of the same church grows in 1,000. So what they do is they ordain like several pastors or a priest in the same church to visit specific areas around that big, I would say, the center church. So my brother was ordained into another area that all the people come to that church, but at the same time, he visit with them and he take care of them and spiritually only in that region. And on the hope that one day they might be able to build a church when maybe the circumstances have changed, they would be able to do this. And there's so many times that believers or Christians in Egypt, they try to do it kind of, I would say, secretly. Secretly, they kind of build a church that it doesn't look like a church, but they pray and they do service, and eventually will be found out, and then trouble start. So my brother started to build a church in that region, and he bought a piece of land, at the beginning, and then started to build it. Somehow, the Muslim Brotherhood in that neighborhood found out. So they came out with swords and knives and guns and everything, very much to tell him there will be no church built here. So he left and just peacefully, but there was also they put a guard on that piece of land. Eventually, just the guard, and after they built the fence, and the Muslim Brotherhood, they took the guard and they threw him from the eighth floor building, and very much the whole incident was reported as a suicide. Imagine that.
Wow.
Somehow. So
Wow.
that was actually in the year 2000, 2001. So very much the whole thing kind of quieted down for a while. In
Now,
2007,
on this map here,
yeah,
I have a picture of it's right here by close to Alexandria, correct?
it isn't in Alexandria itself. Yeah,
Okay, so just
in
for
Alexandria.
anybody who's
Yeah,
seen, if you look at the red dot right there,
yeah,
that's the city of Alexandria, which is a very famous city, well known for its one of the oldest, amazing libraries in the world,
yes,
and it has amazing culture. I know, but
yeah.
this is the city where his brother was. It's called Sidi Bishir.
No, Sidi Bisha is one of the district of the Alexandria. Alexandria is
Okay.
a yeah. I think they probably put that name. It's one of the district in the east of Sidi Bisha. But he
Okay.
was in the central of the city. I mean, Alexandria has at least now probably 12 million people living in it. So it's a huge population there. So
Okay.
imagine, let's say at that time there was probably like 10 million people, maybe at least 2 million Christian, and only like 20 churches, 25 churches. Imagine that. That's what we had.
Wow.
So eventually he was able to purchase another piece of land in 2007, and they started to build it secretly as it looks like a factory. And
Okay.
then maybe eventually when they get a permit, now the church is already here, so it will be operable. It was built as a factory, nobody noticed until they started to pray, and secretly, of course, different time, different somehow the Muslim Brotherhood took notice, and they came out with the same way, with even bigger mob,
Wow.
guns and swords and all kind of stuff, and they destroyed cars and all kind of cars of Christians over there, and they made it clear that there will be no church built in this region. So that was the second time. So in 2011, I mean, after that Arab Spring,
Yes. If I could just ask you one question about that situation about the building of churches. Now,
yeah,
that's in Alexandria.
yeah,
How about, is there any place in Egypt where Christians are allowed to build churches?
no, that was it's like what we call it the federal law. It was like the law was technically nobody can even fix
Oh,
anything in the church. Let's say the churches were old and falling apart because no permit was given to newer ones, and you need to repair anything in the church. You have to get a special permit from the president of the country
wow.
to repair anything. So
To
the
repair.
idea was the idea with Nasser, the first president in Egypt came very much. He said, "Okay, we're not gonna get any permit to any church, and we are not gonna permit them to fix the churches that's gonna be eventually old, and
Mhm.
eventually there will be no churches in Egypt. After let's give it 50 years from where he came, there will be no churches in Egypt because we're not gonna fix anything. We're not gonna get new ones." That was what's in his mind. But God worked miracle that he was actually. It's funny that President Nasser was the one who donated $50,000 at that time. It was almost like $5 million now to build the cathedral in Cairo. It's the same one who actually was thinking he's gonna demolish all churches in Egypt. Imagine that. I'll tell you,
Wow.
it's just a miracle that was known. It was one of the Pope Kyrillos, which is one of the Pope, was
Yes,
at
Carolus. Yeah.
70s. Yeah, he was always gonna. The president was always dragging all the leaders of the Islamic, Islamic leaders and the Christian leader to be with them everywhere he goes, trying to show unity of all that stuff. So there's one time that I think there was a big occasion or something, and the president sent somebody to pick up the Pope and just take him wherever he wants him. So he refused. He said, "No, I have this. I can't go. I can't go with you now." He got so mad. He said, "Pick him up and take him." So they threw him in the car, and by the time he got to the president, he was completely paralyzed.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
he was completely paralyzed.
Wow.
So he realized what he did, and he begged the Pope to pray for him, and he was healed immediately.
Wow.
So he donated very much very much the price of the cathedral that in Abbasiyah in Cairo, the biggest cathedral in the Middle East. He is the one who donated the money from the budget of the presidency.
Wow.
Imagine
Wow.
that. But the law was still the law. No, unless you get the special president permission to build the church. Nobody can give you a permission. So
Wow.
what happened in 2011? I'm not sure that when the Arab Spring came, and then the President Sisi, which is still there now, things changed a little bit. So he gave 30 permits for 30 churches to be built.
Wow.
Yes, it was a miracle, but he's trying to change things, trying to be nice. I'm not sure what is the motive behind it, but God make that happen. So one of those 30 churches was my brother's church. One of those 30 permits was my brother's church to build that church. So he already had the land, and very much he built it legally with permit, in spite of all these people who are resisting. So very much it was forced on them to be a church legally built, and the government was protecting it in that neighborhood that they completely rejected it, and they just thought this is not going to happen. So he was a target since then, and I'm sure he was a target before, so he became a target since then, and there's so much harassment, so much, and eventually they killed him.
Okay. Let me show this picture. Is this you with him?
Yes, that was me. Yeah, that
Okay.
was 3 years before he was killed. Yeah.
Okay, so you're twins.
We're twins. Yeah.
But he's taller than you.
He's very much like 5 minutes older. So he's
5 minutes. Okay, so he had more time to grow then.
Yeah, 5 minutes old. Yeah, 5 minutes older. Yeah. So, yeah, he's a little bit taller, but not by much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
wow. Okay. And so, wow. So your brother. So is the church still there?
Oh, yes. Yeah, the church is still there.
And they have ministries in it and
another
everything.
priest there. It's just running. Yeah, the same way. It's just sad. Yeah. Because it's a legal church. It's legal with permit and everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he wasn't in the church when they killed him. He was far away from the church when they targeted him. Yeah.
Okay. So what was his relationship to Muslims? I mean, was he like, I know like Father Zechariah,
Yeah.
Father Zechariah has a kind of similar story, with his brother was killed.
His brother was killed the same way. Yeah. Similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my brother was not into ministering to Muslim like some people would think, but he was expanding the church, and he was very active on growing the church and expanding the church, and just building a church there. It's a big thing. Wow. So there's a lot of Coptic priests, a lot of other priests. They just mind their own business. They're into their own church. They're into their own congregation. They're not really expanding any church or trying to grow the Christianity there. So they just, I would say, a little bit safe.
Okay.
But once you start to act up and trying to expand the church, and then you're a target. Yeah. Of course, if you minister to Muslim, you're a bigger target.
Yeah. Now, when the government says, "Okay, you guys can build 30 churches," now, like with like the apostasy law, that if you leave Islam, you're supposed to be killed.
Yeah,
And most governments, even Muslim governments, won't do that. But
yeah,
the families or the communities will.
yeah.
And to where the families and the communities are where the problems are rather than just from the government. Now,
Mhm.
is that the case in Egypt, that the communities are the ones that usually do these crimes and stuff against the people, or is it the government?
It's usually the congregate, let's say the community.
Okay,
Technically, it's the community and the people around and the people in the neighborhood. But the government stands out and do nothing.
does
They
nothing.
just sit there watch. I mean, let's say there is a big violence, fire broke into a church or something. You call the fire department, you call the police. They show up maybe 4 or 5 hours later.
Okay,
And if some crime committed or something, they will not arrest, anybody technically until maybe a week later. If things got worse. But they
okay,
just stand, yes, they just stand and watch and give a blind eye to just as if we're not here.
okay.
But
Then another question I had was, are the courts in Egypt, are they Sharia courts?
they're not necessarily Sharia court to the core, but it's based on Islamic law, technically, yes. Yeah.
Okay. So, but Egypt has a constitution, right? A secular
Yeah.
constitution, yeah,
Yes. It's
that allows.
you cannot say it's actually secular. They call it secular, but actually Islam is always ingrained into it. There's no way to separate Islam from the constitution or from the laws, no matter what. Because even Christian there, they treat it under, let's say, the what do you call that, the personal matter that they fall under, it will be judged according to the Islamic law in divorce and inheritance and all the stuff.
Okay. So, um, I'm wondering if a Muslim or if a Christian kills a Muslim,
Hmm.
is there like an automatic sentence for that Christian?
Of course, yeah. You know that the whole world will. I mean, like it'll be the end of the world. Of course, a Christian killed a Muslim. That's just the whole country will know about it.
Yes.
Yes, it
What if
makes
the
it.
opposite? What about the opposite if a Muslim kills a Christian?
Well, that's another story with so many different angle to it. First of all, if it was a, like I said, my brother was very known there, so very much the case made the news big time. I mean, as a matter of fact, I watched the funeral on the national television. Imagine the funeral itself was on the national television. So
Wow.
it was a big event that angered Christian, and it was just like at that time also Egypt was still just waking up from a magnificent or gigantic Hamas attack on soldier in Egypt, and it was just like Islamic attacks and Islamic terrorism was in the picture, and everybody
Okay.
was really suffering from it. And then these things happened. It was really big, and it was a huge story. So
Hmm.
that's why they took it to the court quickly, and the witness was there, and everything was there, and they give a quick judgment. Was they sentence him to death and all the stuff. But here is the trick that they always play. I mean, this event that what happened to my brother was like, I would say it's the first in one of its kind. Why? Because usually the very common thing is that they claim that the Muslim terrorist is crazy person,
Yes.
and under very much claiming the insanity, he will very much get off free. There's so many incidents before. This is not the first time, by the way. There's so many
Yes.
priests were killed before this. There's hundreds of people shot and killed, and always when they stand before the court, the lawyer always claimed insanity. It's just it's only Christian in Egypt were killed by crazy people. But Muslim will never get killed by crazy people, right?
No.
So that's what they actually the lawyer of the killer, she was trying very hard to get him on very much reason of insanity. I guess the court didn't see through it and they sentenced him. But after that, there's a way of call it kind of kill kill the events down by the guy has a chance to appeal, just like here. You have your sentence and then you appeal. That could take years and years and years. I mean, that he was sentenced in June 2022, June 2022, and just last Monday he was appealed. It was like more than 2.5 years later.
Mm.
What usually happen is they postpone the case and postpone the case and another postpone it until very much it dies down.
Okay.
Or sometimes they will say, "Oh, he was the guy's is crazy. Let's send him to mental asylum."
Uh-huh.
And he disappeared there. Nobody knows. We cannot go check on him if he's there every day. Nobody knows when he gets out. Any doctor can release him and he's out. And that's how usually the case. There was like, I'll just give you one example. There was a group of guys, maybe 2 years before that incident of my brother. There was a tour bus going to one of the monastery. It has like maybe 50, 60 people. They stopped them in the middle of the road, like 3 or 4 terrorists with a machine gun, and they mowed the whole bus. 37 people were killed and injured. What do you think happened to those killers? Not one day in jail
Wow.
because they said they were crazy people.
All 37. I mean, all of the.
All the killers were crazy people, but they killed 37 people. So
Wow.
that was just one time. There was also another incident similar to it. One guy came out in a bus and killed like 7, 8 people who were going to church. What happened? He was crazy. He got free. So I
Wow.
expected that. It's a pattern. So you expect that happens with this case too. And for him to be convicted as a and sentenced to death, that was just one of a kind. That was just like,
Wow.
yeah, it was just
We have
it's not.
this. We have this other case here. It says Father Wadid is not the first person to be murdered,
Hmm.
seemingly on account of his faith in
Yeah.
Egypt. His killing took place almost a year after the execution of Nabil Habashi Salama,
Hmm.
a 62-year-old Coptic Christian who was murdered by the Islamic State on April 18, 2021, following his abduction by the terrorist group several months earlier.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is a. Do the Christians? I mean, the Christians don't live in fear in Egypt, do they? Yeah.
No, not really.
Yeah.
The thing is, when you live with persecution, that's the norm. That's the norm, and that's what you expect, and you're just trying to live with it, and that will give you, as a matter of fact, a stronger faith,
Yes.
and you're ready to go. You're ready to go anytime.
Yes.
Anything could happen, and they can kill us. They can burn our homes. You expect that, and that's the biggest difference between living in a persecuted country versus living in the West. We always have laws and lawyers, and we can sue there, we can sue. But over there, you don't have any right. You're second-class citizen, and anything could happen to you. And there's so many villages that was burned to the ground, and people lost everything, and people were killed. See, the thing is that the pattern is this: there's something horrible happen. Okay, it's in the media for a few days, few weeks, and then something else big happen.
Yes.
In the media, that first thing is forgotten, and then the second one is in the media, and then a week later something big happened. It's just like you get numb. There's always something happen, and then the first thing is forgotten. Now people always talk about what happened today. I mean, just like after the case of my brother, within probably 2 to 3 weeks, there was a pattern of kidnapping women and young ladies, young Christian ladies, almost every other day there's one missing, one missing. So that what it made the news, and that's what it was the event of the day that everybody's talking about it, everybody trying to analyze it. And then the case of my brother was forgotten. The same thing after that. There's other cases. It's just the pattern of criminal activities day after day after day against Christian that becomes okay. What's next? You always expect. So what's tomorrow's is bringing?
So does the fact that Egypt is seen, I know, in the West as one of the more moderate countries, and uh, does the relationship with the West, with America, with Europe, cause it to be nicer to the Christians?
I think it's just nicer on the outside, but on the
Okay.
inside I mean, just like if you look at the Al Azhar University, that's the biggest Islamic university in the Islamic world. It's the core of terrorism. That's what it is. I mean, all the people of Boko Haram, all the people of Al Shabaab, all the people of Abu Sayyaf, even in Philippines, all the people, Al Qaeda, they're all graduated from Al Azhar.
Wow.
So that's the graduation of the biggest terrorists in the world, and they are, Egypt is the core of it. And worse than that is that the budget of that organization, Al Azhar University, it's all paid by the government.
Mm,
It's not a private entity. It's very much part of the government budget.
mm.
So the
It,
government indirectly support all that terrorism breeding university, and at the same time they don't have the guts to shut it down. They know all the terrorist comes out of it, but they don't have the guts to shut it down.
is that
And
where Obama went when he went to Egypt?
yes, exactly. He visited Al Azhar. Absolutely.
He was
Yes.
talking about how Islam invented the pen, invented the airplane, invented the nuclear bomb, invented
Yeah.
rain.
Islam. Yeah. Islam
Yeah,
was a religion of science and peace. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That was the. So that's what the West doesn't know much about Al Azhar University. They just know, okay, those Arab Spring things change, but they don't know what happened after that. They
Mm,
still, I mean, yeah, the problem is when you have a country that was ran by Islamic and all this corruption for 70 some years, even if you put the nicest guy in the world to run it, you need another 70 years to see result. You can't
mm,
change that stuff just overnight.
yeah.
So there was so much resistance. I think at first he tried to change the rhetoric of fanaticism from Islam and especially from Al Azhar University, but he was met with so much resistance that you cannot imagine. Yeah, it was just furious, and he's trying, but it's just
What about when the Muslim Brotherhood was in power? Was it worse for Christians then?
that was, yeah, it was not just worse. It was hopeless. I mean, that year it was only lasted for 1 year. It's very very interesting. Only lasted for 1 year to the day, and the Muslim themselves, who are the one who overthrew them, the Muslim themselves overthrew the Muslim Brotherhood who were in control of the country because they know things started to get tight. Everything becomes so expensive. Everything was there was not much of anything available. Food was scarce. It was gasoline was like 4 or 5 times as much as it used to be just a year before. So things became really expensive and so horrible to the point that the Muslim themselves overthrew them.
Wow.
But it was bad for the church because we know what's coming. We know what was
Mhm.
coming. Imposing a Sharia law that was coming. It was not there yet, but luckily it was a short time, just 1 year. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when the American media, I mean, talk about naive.
Oh,
You
very naive.
Oh
Hmm.
man, they were saying, "Oh, you know what? The Egyptian people made their choice. They want the Muslim Brotherhood. we as America and the West need to respect their choice. You know,
Yeah,
this was the Obama days. You
the
know,
Obama days. Yes,
yeah,
they
it
have no
was.
idea how rigged was the election, and it was all very much under guns. You gotta vote here, and it was all rigged for
Wow,
them to win. Yeah, and they were in control of the ballot box. Just imagine that they were
wow,
completely in control of the ballot box, and
wow.
very much they got it. And because the problem, when you know that the ballot box mean nothing, then you know that the next election the same thing's gonna happen, and they're gonna win, and they're gonna win forever. So that was like a very hopeless time for Christian. Just okay, it's gone. I mean,
Yeah,
you think the days of Mubarak or Sadat was bad. This is 100 times was going to be worse.
yeah. But
So
the
it was hopeless.
Christians, but the Christians still, I mean, they are so committed to Egypt.
It's really interesting because even the word Egypt itself, or Coptic, we use the word Coptic. The word Coptic means Egyptian, and people use that word all the time. The Coptic is the Coptic, the Coptic means the original people of Egypt. So technically, if you're Christian, you are the original owner of the land. If you're Muslim, you're not a Coptic. You don't belong there. So the Christian are actually the original owners of the land. So it's just, they're very patriotic. They really love the country. They very much say this is our country, and you guys took it away from us.
Oh,
So we're not just gonna give it up that easy. And you can see that from their demonstration. They wanted the peace. They wanted the country to succeed. They wanted everybody, I mean, the country to prosper. They're not really like the Muslim, very much they don't care if as long as the Sharia law is imposed, it doesn't matter what happens.
wow,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of get a little bit of background so that people kind of get an idea because, you know, we think about Egypt, we just think about the pyramids and camels and stuff,
Yeah.
in the desert. But the reality is very, very tricky there.
Yeah.
And the Christians are very much dhimmis, even though, there isn't that. Do Christians pay jizya?
No, I think the United Nations took it. It
Okay.
wasn't up to them. Yeah, the United Nations banned it all over the world. So they have to what do you call it, comply with the United Nations rules. So that was just like slavery, the same thing. I mean, Egypt has slavery. It's just like Mauritania still has slavery until today, and
Yes.
a lot of other Muslim countries have slavery, but it was abolished by the United Nations, not by the government itself, because it was forced on them. So
Wow.
interesting that Egypt has at least 20 million Christians. So a lot of people do not know that it's a big number.
Wow.
Yeah, they're approximately 15 to 20% of the population are
Wow.
Christian. It's the
Wow.
biggest, the largest country that has Christian in the Middle East.
Wow.
Yeah,
20
and
million. Wow.
yes, 20 million. So we're not really a small. You cannot hide the 20 million people and just treat them badly and just get away with it. So you will hear our voice all the time. 20 million is a big number.
Wow.
I think the second largest by capita, I was thinking, is Lebanon. Lebanon is even supposedly have more Christian per capita. It's not necessarily by the number. They're like, I think, 50 or 60% Christian in Lebanon. But
Wow.
because Lebanon is a smaller country, the number is small. But Egypt has a long history of they call it the School of Alexandria. I don't know if you're familiar with
Yes.
that. School of Alexandria started right after the Roman era ended to be one of the biggest or the largest theological, let's say, seminary or school in the world.
Yes, it was very
Yeah,
famous.
it's very famous, and yeah.
And
And
it's,
one other thing about Egypt is interesting that the Apostle Mark, the one who came, and spread Christianity into Egypt. And biblically, if you read the part when Mark had an argument or a disagreement with Paul, and he left him,
Right.
and Paul said, "Don't, I don't want Mark and all this division between him, Barnabas and Mark and him." That's exactly if you calculate the time frame when Mark came to Egypt, it was during the second trip of Paul. That's what is.
Oh, wow. That's
So that was
awesome.
a good fight. They actually, yeah. So
Yeah.
he came to Egypt and
Wow. Praise the Lord.
established Christianity. Yeah. So and he wrote the Gospel of Mark there.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The
He wrote it
Mark
there.
is the very
Oh
first
my gosh.
gospel was written. It was written
Awesome.
before Matthew and Luke.
Real, yes, yes. It's the first gospel.
First
Right.
gospel is the Gospel of Mark. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So Egypt has a big, long history of Christianity.
Wow. Well,
Before the
let me show you some pictures, getting back to your brother now. You talk about, some of the stuff that he was doing there. And
Mhm.
I'm just curious, did he ever want to leave Egypt to move somewhere else?
No, they don't. They'll die there. Will not. Yeah, they won't leave. It doesn't matter how horrible it gets. They will not leave. That's his ministry. That's his serving God. Is there. That's just
Wow.
his calling. Is there. Yeah.
Wow. That's
He
awesome.
will not leave. Yeah. I mean,
Well,
he came.
maybe.
He came and visited a few times, but he would never thinking of staying here.
Wow. Let me show you a picture. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about this right here.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the last picture was taken to him live. Very much like maybe within an hour or less from the time that he was killed. So yeah, let me explain to you that picture. This picture basically is on the beach.
Okay.
It's on the beach, and it's interesting that this happened in the month of Ramadan. So
Oh,
yeah, the month of Ramadan, very much the Muslim are fasting. They can't go to the beach. They just do nothing other than just sleep and eat, and you know how it is.
yes.
So the beaches are empty.
Okay.
So Christian, feel free to go. We pray, we sing, we have our meetings and Bible study. This is basically was a Bible study for the women ministry in the church, and he's right in the middle of it. He was leading it that day. So very much you see, there's nobody else on the beach. You notice?
Yeah.
So that's
Wow.
what, and it was in Ramadan, so very much it was the beach is out.
Okay.
So so there were that was the picture, and very much like within half hour, it was just when it was time to leave, the whole thing happened.
Wow. So he was killed about a half hour after this
After
picture.
this picture, and imagine all these ladies, they were all witnesses in the
Oh
pool.
my goodness. Wow.
There's like 30, yeah, there's actually some of them, yeah, more than that. There was 39 witnesses.
So what were they doing there at the beach?
There was just like a Bible study and like a young ladies meeting. They just praise the Lord and sing and have a Bible study. It's just like what we have in the church,
I see.
but it's just on the beach. Yeah,
Okay. And wow. So within a half hour.
yeah. That was the last picture was taken to him with this. Yeah,
Wow.
all these people that you see, they are the witnesses to that
Wow.
case. They were all in the court, one by one, testifying.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Yeah,
Wow. Now, I know that the Quran says that a woman's testimony is worth half of a man's testimony. So you need two women to equal one man.
yeah.
Is that the law in Egypt?
No, that's not. Yeah, luckily it's not because yeah, they would dismiss half of them. No, yeah, luckily that's not. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I know that that's what the Quran says,
Yeah,
and Muhammad
but that's
said
why
it.
it's not a full Sharia law, but it
Okay.
has some Islamic tone to it, especially when it comes to inheritance and all the stuff. they'll still enforce the Sharia, Islamic law, and even in divorce, there's just we don't have a Christian court for divorce. It's all very Islamic law.
Okay. Well, can you tell us about this? What is this?
Well, this is the priesthood, let's say, outfit, whatever they wear during the mass. That's what they do. When they do the mass, that's what they wear. That it's kind of similar, kind of resemble the Old Testament priesthood.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. When was this picture?
Yeah, this picture was probably at least 4 years before. Yeah, 4 or 5 years. It was out. See, they have a retreat center like 30 miles outside Alexandria. It's right on the beach, and the church owns it. And this picture was in there. He was actually always take care of the garden. He always play. He was always active, planting all kind of stuff. And it's just when Christians have nowhere to go, everywhere they go, they're being harassed, especially women. It's hard to find a place for them to go. That's why you notice the picture on the beach. Unless the beach is empty, you can't have all these women with you on the beach. They'll be harassed. So they're always trying to build something like a retreat center that the church owns or the church can run it. And usually it's not in the city, kind of far outside or so. Most times it's on the beach, but it's outside the city. And this was one of the places. That was one of our favorite places. When we go visit, we used to go there like 2 3 nights, just us, him, and a couple of people, just on the beach outside Alexandria.
Okay. Somebody's asking here, and
Mm.
why did they murder the priest?
Well, they murder Christian. If they could wipe up Christian, they would. But at the same time, he was very active to spread the church. He was active to put a church in an area that was resisted, that nobody wanted a church. So that was one of the reasons. But generally, Muslims kill anybody who disagree with their religion. So it's nothing new.
Yeah. Now, if you don't know the answer to this is fine, but I'll ask you though, because that's an interesting thing that you're not allowed to build a church in Egypt unless you get permission from the president himself.
Yeah.
And do you know if that's the case in most of the Muslim world?
Actually, in most of the Muslim world, there is no permission, whether from a president or not.
Okay.
Period. There is no president. There is no permit given. Yeah. Sometimes will be given if there's a king. The king will give a permit or sometimes build a church just for politics and to show the world that we have a church in our country. It's just
Yeah.
like I think that they built one in the United Arab Emirates. I don't know if you know the complex. They have a mosque and a synagogue and a church in one complex.
Okay.
It's just for politics. They show the world that we love our religion and stuff. So
Uh-huh. Yes.
yeah,
I know in Saudi Arabia they built the Coptic church.
yeah, that's
There
what
are-
I heard. Yeah, just
yeah.
one, just one.
Yes. Yeah. And it's probably just kind of like a museum or something.
Yeah, it's for show. It's for show and politics, so the whole world will see it and think, oh, there's churches in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but there's so many other places. I mean, I don't. Let's take country by country. Libya, there's not one church. Tunisia, well, we go to Tunisia a lot. There's only 2 churches in Tunisia, and those 2 churches they're not actually for the indigenous. They're actually for the foreigner.
okay.
They were actually built by the French when they were colonizing Tunisia, and then there's a lot of foreigners there. They work in Tunisia with kind of work permit or so. They are the one who are allowed to go to those churches. Only 2 of them.
Okay.
Algeria, there was a lot of churches. There was a period of time in Algeria that there was a lot of churches started to build up. Now they're shutting them down one by one. There's not that many left.
Wow. Well, that's where Saint Augustine was.
Yes, he was from Algeria. Yeah, from Algeria. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So there
We,
was was it originally a Christian country?
oh yes, it was. It was a Christian country, and actually the whole West, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, they were Christian. Even
Okay.
we used to call them the Berber or
Berbers.
the Berber. They were Christian for before the Muslim came and took over the country and turned them into Islamic country.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know but there's I've heard that there is this huge revival happening about Muslims becoming Christians in all of these countries. Have you heard
This
much?
is huge. Yes, this is huge, and there's millions of people leaving Islam in the Middle East. It's just beyond. Of course, the media will never talk about it. Nobody
Of
will
course.
have a number because a lot of them also secret believers, so you cannot have exact numbers. And a lot of them come out and speak, and there's so much of them on Facebook. Let's say those they call it Al or the group of the crossed over. There's millions of them on Facebook. Of course, they cannot release their real name, but there's so many of them, millions of them everywhere you go. And there's so many of them also leaving Islam to atheism. It's not necessarily
Yes.
everybody leave Islam becomes a Christian. There's millions of atheists in the Middle East. The biggest number is in Cairo, then
Wow.
Saudi Arabia. Imagine
Wow.
Saudi Arabia has the largest number of atheists. They left Islam to atheism.
Well, they had a video in Saudi Arabia where they actually took pictures of the in the sewers in Saudi
Oh,
Arabia, and it was full of Qurans.
oh yes. Oh my! I saw that. I wasn't surprised, but it was really hilarious to see that. And the news media was talking about it. It's like, oh my God, how's that happen? Look at that. Yeah, people are actually leaving Islam and ditching the Quran and just. I mean, in Indonesia alone, every year there's 2 million people come to Christ in Indonesia, the largest Muslim country in the world. Imagine, give it 20 years, the whole country there will be no Islam left. I'll guarantee you. The
Ya
people
Rabbi,
die
Ya Rabbi. Yeah.
in
You know
in
what?
Indonesia. Yes.
I'm looking for the day when Saudi Arabia is going to be sending Christian missionaries to America to preach the gospel
Oh,
in America, you know? And
the interesting thing about that, that's what's happening right now in China.
yeah,
The Chinese sending missionaries all
yeah,
over the world. Although
yes.
China, the Chinese communist government treats Christian 100 times worse than the Muslim treat Christian. Imagine
Wow.
that. The communists are worse than the Muslim
Yeah.
when it treat, yeah.
Well,
Muslim will kill you. You're done. It's over. Communists will torture you to death, and you wish you were dead, and they will not kill you.
wow.
That's the communists, and they want you to change your mind. They call it re-education.
Yeah.
Re-education. We want to educate you to be one of the frame of the communism, whether you like it or not. We're gonna make you. So it's a torture for years,
Wow.
years. And in spite of that, the church in China is the largest growing church. I think they were saying in the year 2030, China will be the largest Christian country in number.
Yes, I think it already is, to be honest. I really think,
Right now, there's at least 150 million Christian in China. So
wow.
close to, I don't know how many in the United States, but I mean, of course, it's probably close. But in 2030,
Wow.
it will become the largest
And,
Christian.
and, and, and you know what? Because I was in Hong Kong a few years ago. And by the way, there's a brother from Saudi Arabia. I'd like to bring him on in case he'd
Mm,
like to ask you something.
sure.
Okay, Yusuf, إذا بتحب اتفضل. Here's the link if you'd like to come on, Yusuf. Welcome. Um, um, One of the things that when I was there in Hong Kong, it's like these, because there's a lot of Chinese people there,
Yeah.
and they were Christian. It was a Christian conference,
Yeah.
and these guys, their only focus is to take the gospel eastward
Oh yes.
towards Jerusalem.
You know,
And
that's very interesting. You said that. Yes, I heard about that movement. It's called Back to Jerusalem. That's the
back to
name of the
Jerusalem.
movement. Back to
Yes.
Jerusalem. It started in like 2000. Here's something very interesting. How the Chinese see evangelism. They call that. I mean, they said by the year 2020, the Chinese, no, 2025 or 2030, they wanted to send 20,000 missionary to the
Yes.
world.
Yes.
What is that number coming from? That number is basically, they say, for the last 100 years, there is 20,000 missionary came to China to
Oh wow.
minister to us. They call that, they have like a name for it. They call it, it's a gospel debt. That's a gospel debt. So
Wow.
we owe it to the world to send 20,000 people, just like this 20,000 people came to us and told us about Christ.
Wow.
They say how they think. And
Yeah.
Back to Jerusalem, it's the same thing. Back to Jerusalem movement, it has like a big ministry that it has a lot of training.
Yes.
It's not just theological training. It has physical training. Like one I went through their website is amazing. It's just one of the training is how to jump from the second floor story when the police trying to arrest you. They train you for that. That's just one thing. The
Wow.
other thing, they train you how to minister the gospel to a prison guard or to somebody who is taking you to the execution field.
Yes.
You have to minister the gospel to somebody taking you to the execution field. You have few minutes,
Wow.
or maybe less than a half hour, whatever, how far the distance is. That's just part of the training. And they
Wow.
say they wanted to minister the gospel to all the country that it lies between China and Jerusalem, which, if you noticed, a lot of them are Muslim countries.
Yes.
Have Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan,
Yes.
Burma, all this,
Iraq,
Iraq, yeah,
Syria,
all the, yeah, Saudi
Lebanon.
Arabia, Syria, all this, the Muslim countries. Imagine that.
Yes. Yes.
And as a matter of
Wow.
fact, the Chinese has opened door to so many of those countries more than the West, because the Chinese are doing business with Iran, Pakistan, all these countries. So they will actually have easier access to those countries than the West to
Yeah.
minister the gospel. So we
Yeah.
can't get into those countries, but God sent the Chinese.
Yeah. And
And and
they don't hate the Chinese too. They hate
oh no,
Americans.
they hit the
And
West, yes.
yeah.
But God is using,
Yeah.
God is ahead of the game.
Yeah. Always chess piece. You could see this chess piece.
Yeah.
Someone's asking here, Alet Makar.
Oh, yeah.
He's asking, well, what about Yemen?
Yemen is a very difficult place, especially the Yemen is one of the countries that still have the death penalty for the apostate, those who leave Islam.
Yes.
It's on the book. Yemen is one of them, and it's a difficult place. There's a lot of people actually believers in secrecy. Actually, I know a couple of people who are secret believers. They're on Facebook, and I know them personally. They were just. It's very interesting when you have secret believers that they don't know each other, and they don't know who's around them, the believers, and they ask you, "Do you know anybody to baptize me?" Seriously, it's a serious problem, and you can tell them, "What, I don't know
Wow.
anybody to baptize me," and they don't know anybody else. So they ask you another question: "Can I baptize myself?"
Wow.
Imagine.
Yes.
But I just always tell them, if you get a chance to be baptized, go for it. If you don't, you're not losing your salvation. So they always think about that. It's like,
Yeah.
to be baptized to be a Christian, or to make
Yes.
it to heaven. No, no. If you have a chance to be baptized, it's wonderful to have it. If you don't, you're not losing. You're not. Yeah, baptism
Yeah.
is not take you to heaven or not. It's just. So there's a lot of cases like that in Yemen. It's more secret believers mostly, and it's spreading. We have a couple of missionaries that we know. They're currently in another country in North Africa. They were in Yemen for 11 years.
Wow.
They will tell us, and they were eventually were driven out because very much they were like they would have been killed if they stayed another week. So they ran for their life.
Wow.
But Yemen is a very difficult place, and
Well, this is our brother Yusuf. He's a Saudi Arabian ex-Muslim, and so
Hello.
nice to meet you.
Nice to
Congratulations.
meet you. How are you guys doing?
Good, doing good.
Good to see you, brother Hussein.
Rabbi Berkak, welcome.
Me too.
So,
I know you said if you have questions. I don't have questions. I was just enjoying the stories, and
Oh,
yeah, it was great.
if you'd like to
let me
make a
tell you.
comment
Let
or
me
something.
tell you guys one thing about us. We used to work with a ministry called the Voice of the Martyr. He probably.
Oh yes. Yeah.
We are actually currently a official representative of the Voice of the Martyr. We used to speak in churches, and so we get a lot of emails about all these cases that happen all over the world weekly. So we are aware of every country that has persecution of Christian and what's the situation. So we're for the last 13 years we're working with them. So
Wow.
we don't get our news from the media. We get it firsthand from people called the frontline worker. The frontline worker, those who are actually in those countries that they see and they send us, information and news and stuff. And so that's
Yeah, actually those news you don't get in the media.
Oh no, you will never get in the media.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're trying to make it known to a lot of people.
Yes.
Even the ministry, the Voice of the Martyr, they try to, give you a free newsletter every month. They put a lot of stories in it. So it's very, very interesting that we.
Now with all these platforms, YouTube, TikTok, whatever.
Yeah.
There are so many platforms. I mean, you can have your own channel in every single platform, so you can reach a lot of people.
Yes.
And this is a blessing, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, the internet is a blessing, although some people look at it as a curse. But if you use it the right way,
it depends on how you use it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's a blessing. There's so many people. That's their only way to hear the gospel.
I remember when I was a Muslim, that one thing that touched me was the Christian movies of Jesus dying on the cross. As a Muslim, I would never see that, but I tell you, watching it on the movies, it was more powerful than someone just talking to me.
That's right.
So, I know there's so many evil things on television or on the movies.
Yeah.
But, there's so many good things that, God gave us, I believe, the technology in order to preach the gospel.
Yes.
But people took it and perverted it. But
it
was originally given to deliver the message, So I want to show you some pictures here, if you can explain these. Now, these, if it's difficult for you, I understand. Some of these pictures are very, I took them of your brother. And some of them are very difficult to look at. And if you don't want to say anything, that's okay.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I've seen everything. Yeah.
Okay. This.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about this here?
I'm not sure who. Do you know who's that or?
Oh, I thought this was your brother here.
No.
Look, I mean that guy is holding one finger. That's a jihadi guy.
Okay. How about this one here?
I'm not sure who's that. That's not my brother. No.
That's not your brother either? I thought this was your brother.
No.
Okay. All right. Well,
those guys are Tawheed guys.
Okay. That's probably in Gaza too. So, okay. This is your brother.
A lot of incidents like that. If you look, if you Google anything, there was so many pictures will come up for other people being killed.
Yeah. Probably didn't expect that I'd have the brother of the on my program. So
a lot of people don't believe it when I say that because.
But there are some giveaways, it's like this. I mean, once I saw, I'm like, oops, that's not.
That's not.
Well, how about this right here?
Okay, this is the killer.
This is the
The
guy who
one
killed your brother,
that's the
huh?
killed yeah, killed my brother in the court. Yeah, yeah.
And it says in Arabic, "El Adam
Shankan.
Shonka,"
Shankan.
they're gonna hang him to death.
That's actually, this picture was taken when he was sentenced the first time in June to 2022. This was in a newspaper. Yeah, that new. Yeah, it was 22. That was before, of course. And after that, he appealed, and then luckily, the last Monday, the appeal court upheld the first the older sentence. So
Okay, I just wanna um, let me just I just want to show this here. Just take me a second here. This is from the article that I read about your brother. And
mhm.
let me just okay, right here. Um, take me a second. Okay. It says the handling of this case presents an opportunity for the expressed commitment of President Sisi to be translated into action that
Mhm.
demonstrates an unfettered religious intolerance no
Mhm.
longer has a place in Egyptian society. The
Right.
suspect reportedly ran away from the scene but was apprehended by local residents
Mhm.
before police arrived.
Yeah.
Initially, the accused confessed to attacking Arsonius, but
Mhm.
later claimed he was not conscious while committing the crime and that he suffered from mental disorders.
There you go. The mental disorder. That's what that was the core of of the defense was about the mental disorder, and they're trying to prove that he was mentally ill and all. Luckily, it didn't work. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's I mean, there's a couple of good things in this I see. Number one, and
Yeah.
that it's people caught him.
As a matter of fact, it's funny. Yeah, people caught him, but it was actually the driver of the van. See all this group of ladies that you saw on the beach. They have, yeah, they have three minivans that they came in it.
Okay.
So after he attacked my brother, of course, the van drivers, they're trying to get involved and protect him and stuff. So he turned on the drivers. He turned on one of the driver trying to attack him and kill him. But of course, if you see the picture, he's like in his 60, but the van driver was a young guy, so he held him down with the knife and everything. So the van driver was the one who actually held him down until the
Oh,
police.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess you know if you could just tell us the new development that happened last week with your brother situation here.
Well, all of a sudden, like 2 weeks ago, we found out that there is the appeal date was going to be that last Monday.
Okay.
So and I was surprised that they actually came that fast because after 2.5 years, that's not a long time. You to
Yeah.
expect appeal to happen in a case like that. So luckily, it didn't take long in appeal court that the other so-called new evidence. There was no new evidence to prove that he was insane, and the whole thing was rejected. It didn't take long for
Oh,
them uphold the older judgment, which is the sentence, and we were hoping within 2 months it would be executed. So that is the latest on Monday. So praise the
okay.
Lord. I'm expecting that. I was expecting more delays and more delays,
Yeah.
and yeah,
So they had already sentenced him to death by
yeah,
hanging,
yeah,
and then he appealed it,
appeal,
saying there's evidence that I'm insane,
yeah,
and the court decided, no, you're not crazy.
yeah.
You're a
There is no
murderer.
new evidence. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Now, this is the strange thing. Okay. Now, that I mean, from what I'm seeing, and
Yeah.
we talked a little bit about this, is a Muslim killing a Christian. I mean, usually, would this would there be a judgment like this or a dam? I mean,
This is a precedental thing. It's never happened before. I'm telling you, this is like everybody was surprised that they actually came to that judgment that quick. It was just the first, but you're always suspicious, you know. So, okay, what's next? You know, as long as he's still alive, there's a chance for them to do something about it. So luckily, so far, you know, he's still alive. So I don't know how much suspicious. I'm always suspicious because there's so much cases like that before. You know, there was judgment and they're overturned, and then there's always something to behind the scene. I mean, they could say, okay, he's in a mental asylum, okay, which is like a prison, but mental asylum, okay. Who goes and check on him every day to make sure he's still there? They could release him and nobody knows, and that happens a lot.
Is he in a mental asylum now?
No, he's in prison. No,
He's in prison now. Okay.
He's a regular prison, and if
Do
he
they
was,
do they know when he's supposed to be executed?
it's usually within 2 months. That's what I usually say. Yeah. So we're hoping to see that quicker. Yeah.
Wow.
Sure. Yeah. So maybe within 2 months will happen, but.
Well, it is strange that, as you said, it's a kind of special case because usually a Muslim killing a Christian, the Muslim is not going to be. There is no qasas. They call it qasas.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if even there even with no qasas, no execute, like they won't give him the capital punishment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there is this money that they pay, the diya.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the diya is less than half of when compared to when a Christian killed a Muslim.
I think before that, I remember during the Mubarak time, there was a lot of cases happen, and people were they were convicted, but but not with death sentence. They were convicted, maybe life in prison or something like that, and then maybe a year later they disappear. Nobody knows where they at. They're not in prison anymore. Nobody knows where they at. See what I mean? That's what happened. They sentence him. What I going to give him a life in prison? We'll give him life in prison. Are you going to go there every day to make sure they're there? No. And they release him and nobody knows. And of course, the case dies, and year after year, nobody knows anything.
Wow.
So, yeah, that happens too. So they're very, very clever, cunning people.
Sneaky.
Sneaky, very sneaky in the world.
Like that guy's name, El Makar. So, how about in Saudi Arabia? What if a Muslim killed a Christian? What would happen?
Nobody will hear about it.
That's one. And if people hear about it, as I said, there is no the Muslim won't be killed for killing a Christian.
Yeah.
So they might go to jail for a while.
Yeah.
They might pay the diya, but the diya is going to be way lower than usual.
Yeah, few dollar.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I know a guy. I think when I was in high school, who had a car accident, and the guy in the other car died, and he was Christian, but it's considered to be some kind of murder or something. Because there's a person that died, right?
Yeah.
But the guy didn't go to jail. I think it was because it's an accident. He didn't attempt to kill him, but he had to pay the diya. And because the guy was Christian, the diya was like less than, like, I don't know, $300, $400.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Many. Yeah.
What if what if a Christian kills a Muslim?
That's they say Qiyamah Qum.
It's the end of the world.
Yeah. The whole world will know about it,
They would make him an example.
Any Christian in the street will be killed for that guy.
Yeah, actually, it might be kill him and his family.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go retaliate against all his family.
But you know, the thing is, in Saudi there is no Christians, and if there is a Christian,
they're foreigners.
They cannot show that they're Christians.
Okay.
They cannot pray in the street. They cannot worship in the street. They cannot do anything. Like they cannot show anything. They cannot even wear a cross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I told you, I shared this with you, Hussein, before. A coworker invited. So he's from India. He's Christian. He had his wife with him. They didn't have kids. He invited another couple, and it happened to be in a Sunday. His Saudi neighbor didn't like him.
Okay.
So he called the cops on him. So the guy, both couples got arrested for spreading mischief.
Wow.
Spreading Christianity. It's like two couples, like spreading to who? 4 people in the house. Like, who are we spreading it to?
Do you know what they did to them?
Well, I mean, I know he was in jail at least for 2 weeks because we did not know about him until the second week. And then, you know, we tried to find him someone to, to help him out. So they got him out.
They did. Okay. Yeah, just because corruption in the land, that could get you crucified in the so that's dangerous. A very dangerous crime that nobody knows what it is, but the sentence is unbelievable. So
as long as you're not Muslim, you will be sentenced to a harsh sentence. Yeah.
Wow. So essentially what happened is they went to court. You're concerned that they were going to probably let this guy go or lighten his sentence. Instead, they said no, the death penalty is still on him. Yeah. So that's justice, you know. Yeah. And I know a lot of people don't like the death penalty in America. They think, oh, it's archaic, but it's in the Bible. The Bible, God said to Noah, from the time of Noah, he says, if any man kills a man, his blood is going to be shed by man. Because man was made in the image of God, and so it is a Old Testament and a principle. So, well, that's we're glad that justice is being done, but we haven't seen it yet.
He's still alive. As long as he's still alive, you still have your doubts, how far this is going to go, where it's going to end, because it's a pattern. It's a pattern that it's been there for, I think, the last 30, 40 years. It's not like something new. Something happened and they always put them away and then they disappear and nothing happened. So it's just,
and the problem is they see it and they know the punishment is not going to happen. So it's easier for them to do it.
Yeah.
And hey, if I go to jail for a year or 6 months or 5 years for killing someone, I mean, hey, I would do it again. Like, the punishment is not as tough on them.
Mm-hmm.
It would be so easy for them to commit the crime.
Yeah. Wow. Especially when the government is part of the planning.
Yes.
If you're familiar, there was the bombing of a church in Alexandria. I think it was like 15 years ago. It's called Knesset al-Qaddisin. It was in Alexandria. It was blow up. As a matter of fact, like 7-8 years later, after the Arab Spring, after Mubarak was gone, they found out that the chief police of Alexandria was the one behind it.
Wow. I have no doubt. I mean, I remember when I lived in Gaza, I wanted to go to Egypt. They just told me, bakshish, just keep your money with you. You got to pay. You got to bribe them to let you in.
Yeah.
And so corruption is so prevalent
but
there.
Also Islamic fanaticism or Muslim Brotherhood are infiltrated everywhere.
Everywhere.
Infiltrated the court system, they infiltrated the government, they infiltrated the military. So they're not just by themselves, you
Mhm.
know, as a pile of fanatics by themselves. They're everywhere. They're infiltrated the government and the military. So you just wonder.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's spreading all over. So even here in the U.S., I mean, and
Yeah.
this is very important for people here in the U.S. to learn more, to
About
be
Islam.
educated about
Yeah.
all these agendas and
Yeah.
thoughts of terrorism and all of this, only because they keep thinking, oh, it's Islam is the is the religion of peace. That's what the Quran says, but this is not really. It's not what it says. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But look what happened in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
oh
Look
yes,
what happened in Europe. It's
yes.
a disaster. It's a
So,
horrific disaster with all these women being raped and all these kids, girls being raped. 250,000 cases of rape. That's just the ones are reported.
Wow.
They're all by Muslim. Yeah, just
No,
the
no, it's by Asians. You
uh,
know, Asians. That's what they call them in England. It says by
Mm.
Asians.
by Asian. Yeah,
You know, they don't want to say Pakistanis, and so
yeah,
or Afghanis or Muslims. You know,
or
they
Muslim.
call
Yeah,
them.
yeah. That's why it's gonna keep going, because when you give it a different name than what it is,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
but
covering.
if the gang is like, it's a whole family. It's like the nephews and the uncles and the
Yeah.
cousins, and
yeah,
like it's like you're gathering with your cousins and say, hey, let's go grab a bite. It's like
yeah. Let's
you're,
go
you're all
rape
going to
some
rape the
girls.
same girl. It's like
Yeah,
that's really sad.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Well, I
government.
think Elon Musk has been,
Uh, yeah,
God raised him up right now
yeah.
because he is put the spotlight on this
And the
topic
stuff. Yeah.
in a huge way. I mean, he may end up toppling the Prime Minister of England. I mean, it's that
Yeah, it's possible.
devastating.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's coming
So,
now. The prime minister is like very furious against him. Like, oh, a rich man is gonna topple the government just because he's rich. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, look what he's exposing, and they
mm,
want to shut down. They want to shut down X. In England and Europe, and they're trying to prosecute people who actually post stuff on X that they are in the United States. Did you hear that? They
That's crazy.
what
they
is
try
it? What I didn't hear that about.
yeah the British threaten people in United States that they can get them if they spread so-called
Misinformation.
misinformation on X. We can
Oh,
get you even if you're in the United States.
wow. That means there's a network.
Yes, yeah, there's they're gonna kidnap you and shove you in a box and ship you back to England. That's insane. But this is the result, and I think the West should see that for what it is, and
Yes.
they just they I don't know, they under the name of tolerance, they just tolerate anything and spread the Islamophobia. Just the term Islamophobia is just the Muslim really cleverly invented for the West.
Yes.
You don't
They
hear
know.
that term in the Middle East. Oh, it's only in the West.
Yeah. It's because they know how to play that victim card that
Yeah,
America so generously gives to everybody except Christians.
except Christian. Yeah,
Only
yeah. You're
Christians
hearing
cannot
the
be
term Christianophobe.
Christian
Christianophobia. There
folk.
is no
Yeah.
such a term,
Yeah.
Christianophobia. It's Islamophobia. That's just what it
Yes.
is.
If you say
It's,
Christianphobe, it's like, dude, you're just making stuff up. But if you
you're
say
making it up. Yeah,
Islamophobe,
there's no such
that's
a word.
real.
There's no such a word. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Islamophobe is it probably is gonna make it into the dictionary very soon. Yeah,
Yes.
Islamophobia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing, people get away with this stuff because we're so stupid and naive. We don't want to
Yes.
take this thing seriously and really study about it and just tolerate anything and anyone. And imagine if somebody came out to you today and told you that I'm gonna start a religion that it has one of the essence of this religion is raping children.
Yes.
You're gonna say you crazy, we're gonna put you away. But that's actually part of the Islamic faith.
Yes.
Call it religion because it
Yeah.
was Islam. But if somebody came up with it as a new religion, it would never be tolerated.
Yes.
Criminalized. But we don't criminalize Islam under this.
Yeah. Well, Muhammad did it, so
Yeah, it's
we have a Muslim here, Osterjag, and we hope that he's going to repent and come to the Lord. How are you, Osterjag?
I'm good. How are you, Hussein?
What do you
I
think?
hope Yeah.
What do you think about what we're saying?
What you are saying? Today
Just
you would repent and come to Allah.
that Islam, that the rape, of children and stuff is, like in the Quran, chapter 60, verse 4, it allows it. Yeah.
See, Hussein, I
Osterjag is
would
not
have
Muslim.
What was that?
Osterjag, you're not a Muslim, are you?
Yeah, yes, he is.
oh wow.
He's a Muslim who and Aisha visits him.
That's why I'm saying he's not Muslim. He's I don't know.
I don't know what he is, but claims to be a Muslim. So
he's a Muslim who calls Aisha his sister. Aisha is not supposed to be your sister. It's supposed to be your mother.
your mother, yes,
The
mother
mother
of the believers.
Yes.
Yes.
You cannot call her sister.
Yes. Well, brothers, I want to thank you for coming on and okay. I don't think he's going to talk, so yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and take him. I want to thank you for coming on and sharing with us about your brother. And your brother is a, because I lived in the Middle East as a missionary for like 9 years, and there were some who are like your brother. They could have left.
Yeah.
They could have come to America. They could have come to the West, but they would not leave. They wanted to stay there, and even if it cost them their life, to preach the gospel and do the work of Jesus. And your brother gave his life doing that.
Yeah.
And I just want to tell everybody, because I read the story, that your brother was leaving this. It was after this meeting with on the beach, and as he was leaving, this 60-year-old man comes up to him and says something, and your brother gives him a gift.
He was begging. He was like he pretended to be a beggar because he was actually sitting right not too far from with that meeting for 2 hours.
Wow.
He was sitting there waiting for the chance to get a chance to come close to him. And then when they were leaving, all the girls went into the vans, and my brother was the last one to get into the van. So he came as a beggar, asking for change or something. So my brother was kind of distracted to look busy to trying to find something to give it to him. And that's when he had him distracted. So he had his chance to stab him in his neck 3 times.
Wow. 3 times. And it says that they said that he took the gift with one hand, but then stabbed him with the other one 3 times.
Yeah.
And it's like, it seems like this guy knew what he was doing.
Yes, of course. It was convicted as a premeditated.
Premeditated.
Yes, because he was sitting there for 2 hours. It wasn't like just somebody who met you and saw you and got angry at you and killed
Yeah.
you. No, he planned it for hours, and I think he planned it for days before. It was
Yeah.
like, yeah. So
And
that's
what about do they think he's connected to anybody?
they denied that, but he was actually a member of the Muslim Brotherhood for more than 10 years, and he actually killed somebody before.
Wow.
Yes, he was. See, that's what the case of being insane. He was actually acquitted from the first murder as an insane person. So they're trying to bring the same diagnose again as a reason of the second killing.
Hmm. What
So
was the first? Who was the first victim? Do you know?
I think it was one. It wasn't a Christian person. It was like one of the members of their Islamic group that they would have disagreement, and he killed him. Imagine that.
Okay. Okay.
But
It's
he
just
was
it's just another service for Allah.
yeah, another
Yeah,
purpose for Allah, and then
yeah.
he claimed insanity, and he was
That's
put in asylum for a while, and that's that he has a history of mental illness. That's what their defense was.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
brother, as we kind of bring this to a close, I told you an hour and a half, and we're right almost there.
Oh, cool. That's good.
Uh,
Glad.
what I'd like you to do is, if you would do an altar call here and tell the people how what your brother went through there is a message that they about the truth about Jesus Christ. And,
Yeah, I just want to tell anybody who's listening now or watching that there is the truth, and there's ultimate truth that nobody can deny. Even if you're trying to resist it, it'll always shine. The truth always shines. And the truth is that man is a sinner and God is holy. And when God is holy, that means, see, a lot of people don't understand what does that mean? God is holy. When God is holy, that means he has no sin in him. He doesn't tolerate sin. He doesn't just close his eyes on sin as if it didn't happen. And he punishes sin. So sin has to be atoned for. Throughout the whole Bible, you will see the whole story of atonement. When God gave Moses the Ten Commandments, even our Muslim brothers, they know that God gave Moses the Torah would have the Ten Commandments and 302 and 611 other ones. So what would be the forgiveness of sin when somebody break one of those laws? God told them, you can't just say, okay, God, I'm sorry, forgive me, and God will forgive. No, because there is a price for sin. And when Adam broke the first law, when he ate from the tree and broke God's commandment, he warned him before, he said, once you eat from the tree, you surely die. So the wages of sin is death. And either somebody has to die instead of you, or you're going to die yourself. And that was the whole Old Testament theology of the sacrificial system, is when somebody break one of those laws, he brings a lamb or a goat or a bull, or if he's a priest or a rich person, and he put his hand on the animal, on the innocent animal, and the animal has to die in his place. Now that the animal carry the sin of the person. So sin always had a price to pay. And eventually Jesus came to pay the price of the sins of the whole world once and for all. And that doesn't mean that the whole world is already forgiven. No, only those who accept the price that Jesus paid on the cross will be saved. Because just like if I give you a check and you just take it and put it in your pocket, it means nothing. But if you take that check and cash it, then you become rich. That's what Jesus did. For those who accept what he did on the cross, atone for their sinned, those who will be saved. And it's a free gift for everybody. It's not just for Christian. Jesus did not come for Christian, like some people say, oh, you have Jesus because you're Christian. Jesus came for the whole world, and those who believe in him will never perish. Just accept the price that he paid. Because if you don't accept the price that Jesus paid for your sin, you are going to pay the price of your sin yourself by dying in eternal death in the lake of fire. So please, the chance is there. As long as you have breath in your nostril, there's a chance that you will be saved by accepting what Jesus did on the cross. And his awesome resurrection gives us hope to be with them as he promised. So please do not waste the chance. Do not say, this is not. Just, if you don't believe that story, just go search it yourself. The books are there. The Bibles are there. Just search. Do not just take whatever people tell you blindly and believe it. Just go open the books. Fortunately, that we are living in a time now that the information is available to everybody, anytime, all the time. So you have no excuse. You have no excuse not to search the books. And I hope that God will open your eyes to receive him and to know that he is the only true God, the God of Isaac and Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Moses. Jehovah, his name, is not the God of the Quran. Allah is not our God. Jehovah is our God. We don't worship the same God. Don't be fooled by that. Don't be misled that you think we worship the same God. Jehovah is the one who came himself and took on a flesh and died on the cross for our sins and rose again. It's not Allah, it's Jehovah. And we worship Jehovah. I hope you believe in Jehovah and what he done on the cross for you to be saved. I think you're muted.
Okay. Amen. Thank you so much, brother. That was wonderful. And thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about this. It's just, I can't imagine something like this, and
well, when you live in the Middle East, you expect these things. So, and when you live in persecuted places, you expect these things. So,
yeah. Wow. Well, God bless you, bless your family, and thank you so much for coming on. I hope
guys, it's been a blessing and honor to be with you guys.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing. It was amazing.
Good nice meeting you guys.
God bless you.
Thank you, Yusuf, for coming on, and thank you
for having me.
And thank you, Blackwater. Brother Peter, we have another ex-Muslim here. His name is Blackwater. He's Palestinian.
Oh, wow.
And he just got baptized a few weeks ago. And so he's very,
you never heard this verse in the Quran, يخرجون من دين الله أفواجا?
Oh, yes. I see it every day. I hear it and I see it. Yeah.
What is this? What is the verse?
It's يخرجون من دين الله أفواجا.
What does that mean?
The Quran says يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا, but I say يخرجون.
Oh.
إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح. يخرجون من دين الله أفواجا.
Hallelujah. Amen.
Yeah, God bless you. And you guys have a wonderful weekend.
You do the same. God bless you.
God bless you guys.
Thank you. And thank you, Yusuf, for coming on.
Welcome.
Thank you, everyone else who is with us or who will see this later. We thank you for being with us. And if you haven't done it, please do it now. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. يسوع ساعدني. يسوع سامحني. يسوع ادخل قلبي. We love you, but more importantly, he loves you. So have a great night. Thanks.
If you have ever wondered why dull apologists lie so much, it's because on a rare occasion that they tell the truth. This happens.
One of the reasons I accepted Islam was the scientific miracles. I'll be honest with you. And now we know that this whole scientific miracles was absolute nonsense.
You're going to have to repeat that. that the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say.